In 1871, Father Magenhan was our pastor, and he was a good friend with a priest in Toledo who had already hired the Joliet Franciscans for his school. Now, the school, St. Peter's, was established in 1868, and it was already up and running. By 1871, Father Magenhan was in contact with the Joliet Franciscan Superior and hired sisters. And 1871, Sister Lucy came. Lucy was a teenager, and Sister Ignatius was the superior. And the two of them, and history doesn't tell us, they probably worked with the lay teachers who already had been hired for the school.
And had been running it for the 3 years.
Had been running it for the 3 years. The pastor had a lot of foresight, and he purchased a public school that stood on the west corner of Mulberry and First, and it had 2 rooms downstairs and 2 upstairs, and so that's where the sisters began. I would give anything to know who met them at the train station. Who were the young ladies who put curtains in their window or put jams on their pantry shelf? Too bad somebody didn't record that. But anyways, they were doing quite well, and the school was growing, and the teachers, more teachers were hired as needed. Most of the teachers were ladies. There was a gentleman hired, Carl Adam. He not only was he the teacher, but he was also the organist in the school. And it was Carl who turned in the fire alarm when our second church was on fire. The smoke was coming out of the sides and the windows, and he looked across the street and turned in the fire alarm. But anyways, the sisters were not required to keep annals as they were in later years. An annal is just a little running history of what happens in the convent during the year. But some of the sisters wrote their reflections on the fire, and one was that the pastor was very devoted to the Blessed Mother, and every Saturday he had Mass at her altar. Anytime he received flowers, they would go on her altar. And the sister said the statue of the Blessed Mother was not touched in the fire. Wouldn't you love to know where that statue is today? I have no idea. After the fire, the church was going to be across the street, the new church, and they had to tear down this public school. And the fire was in April, and by September they had the school up already. It was a hurried job because we needed the school, we needed the church. It was a great school, of course, and they did very well. In the first floor of the building, the second floor was church. Then,
do we know where the sisters were living?
They never tore buildings down in those days. They moved them. They moved the first school, which was a little frame building. They moved it across the street, and that became the first convent for the sisters. By the 1980s, this convent had been moved several times, and it landed behind the priest's garage on that alley, which was called Championship Drive for a while, and then it burned down.